A CEO of a major company suddenly felt a jolt, like blood quickening, when he watched a young woman deliver a commencement speech as a newly minted summa cum laude. He had seen her in a viral clip on social media, ordered an investigation, and sent her an offer to work at his corporation. What connection could he possibly have to that woman? Could she be his daughter? But how? Let's find out in today's story. Hello, it's Mr. Hope again. Come along with me to the very end, and I promise you will be delighted, thrilled, and inspired by this amazing story. Enjoy. The CEO was stunned when the young applicant walked in. She looked exactly like his former wife. More than 2 decades had passed. How could this be? It had all begun with a dream so high it seemed impossible, at least by the opinions of the people around the dreamer. The road had always been challenging for little Alice. She could not avoid it. Fate seemed to have drawn her path long before she took her first steps. Whether she wished for it or not, the unexpected would come, because the outline of her life felt etched before she was even born. Grandma, when I grow up, I'm going to work in a huge office, have a lot of staff, and wear pretty clothes. Then I'll buy us a big house that the rain can't get into. We'll have a swimming pool, so when it's hot we can just jump in right away. And there'll be lots of flowers and a wide garden, and plenty of food in the kitchen, so we won't go hungry, even if we don't go to the store. Then I'll buy a car so we won't get tired walking to church every Sunday. Little Alice added, still so young, speaking every time she stared at the full moon, rimmed by a field of glittering stars, sitting outside their small home with her grandmother, Matilda. Grandma and granddaughter had a ritual. When the full moon rose, they sat in their favorite spot and looked up. The moon and the stars bore witness to Alice's dreams, even if to Grandma Matilda they seemed impossibly high. Still, she never crushed them. She believed nothing was impossible while the world kept turning. She loved her granddaughter fiercely and supported every need as much as she could. Life had written its weight upon the two of them. So many things were only within reach inside dreams. Yet it wasn't a secret that Alice had a natural, quiet beauty and a bright mind, something many said, even at her young age. People believed she would go far if she was guided well and carried good manners with her always. My dear, wherever you're happiest, I'll support you. My one request is this: whatever your future becomes, never forget to be a true, decent person at all times. Don't forget to pray and to give thanks for every blessing. Grandma would repeat to Alice, though the girl was still little. Grandma believed her lessons in kindness and how to treat others would carry Alice into adulthood. Beauty and brains mean nothing without manners. Yes, Grandma. I won't forget. I've memorized it already, Alice said with a grin, cuddling up to her. Oh, so you only memorized it now? Then when you grow up, you'll forget it, Grandma teased, still gazing at the sky. No way, Grandma. I promise, Alice said, even tracing a promise sign with her hand before facing her. Grandma smiled and hugged her tight. Alice had been in Grandma Matilda's care since her mother died during childbirth due to a heart condition. Alice grew up never knowing who her father was. Grandma also had no idea that her daughter, Lucille, Alice's mother, had ever had a boyfriend. She had never confided in her. Even Lucille's friends knew nothing. It was a puzzle that haunted Grandma. Who had gotten Lucille pregnant and who was Alice's father? In spite of all that, Grandma accepted what had happened to her only child and never hid the truth from her granddaughter. She told Alice, even at a tender age, the truth about her mother and the unknown father. It didn't matter if Alice fully grasped it. To Grandma, what mattered was that the child would understand she had no parents. Her mother had died, and her father was unknown. She thought facing it early would make acceptance easier once Alice grew older, and it would keep her from clinging to false hope. Grandma wanted to keep talking, but she realized Alice's eyes were closed. "Hey, don't pretend to be asleep. I can't carry you anymore. You're heavy now," she joked as she noticed Alice slowly drifting off. "I'm not sleeping, Grandma. I'm just imagining what my dad looks like. I'm wondering if he knows anything about me. Because if he did, I wish he'd come find me, Grandma." "I hope he hasn't forgotten me," Alice said suddenly, and Grandma's heart sank. She stared into space, a sharp pain pricking her chest with regret. She wished she'd pressed Lucille to reveal who the father was. If Lucille had only told her, they could answer the question that haunted Alice. "My dear, forgive me. I truly don't know who your father is. Your mom never told me anything about him while she was alive. I didn't even know she had a boyfriend," Grandma explained as Alice kept her eyes shut. "That's okay, Grandma. What matters is that you're here with me, and Mom is watching over us from heaven. I can still feel her love even if she isn't with us," Alice replied. "But Grandma, you know what? I wish I could feel my father's love too, even if he's gone or even if we've never met. But I just can't feel that at all." "Why is that?" she asked, and the heaviness in Grandma's heart grew, so she changed the subject to avoid more sadness. "All right, let's head inside and rest. We've got a lot of laundry tomorrow." 2 big loads came in. "Oh, right. Mrs. Cross told us to return her freshly washed clothes before evening tomorrow because she's traveling to Florida," Alice reminded her. "Exactly. We need to rest so we can start early," Grandma said, nudging Alice toward the door. Grandma Matilda did laundry on weekends and sewed clothes from Monday to Friday. With that work, she put Alice through school and covered their needs. Alice was always by her side, and her inspiration to keep going despite her health problems. "Grandma, after we do laundry tomorrow, while things are drying, I'll swing by the thrift store because Miss Nina said she has some clothes to give me," Alice said, excitement bubbling. "Fine, but don't take too long. We've got work. We need to save up because school starts soon. You're entering elementary school," Grandma reminded her as she straightened their bedding. Grandma wasn't surprised that many people gave Alice things. The girl was cheerful and hard-working, never complaining, full of dreams, always smiling, always respectful to elders. Sometimes Grandma couldn't help but cry when she saw Alice working hard, even so young. Alice wasn't the type to play around. She chose small jobs to help earn money to support Grandma. Though cheerful, Alice never hid the hurt she felt as an orphan, especially when she came home from school. Not a day went by without tears because of her classmates bullying over her lack of parents. "My dear, why are your clothes dirty? What happened to your face? Did you get into a fight?" Grandma asked. Alice cried again, telling her, "They pushed me into the mud, Grandma, and said I'm not human because they never see a mom or dad with me. They said I must be some made-up monster's kid, and they're scared of me." Grandma hugged her to calm her. She never let bullying go unchecked. The next day she went to school, spoke with the teacher, and at every parent meeting, she reminded the other parents to guide their children and teach good manners, because too many were cruel, and her granddaughter kept being their target. Once, a parent confronted Grandma after their child dumped water on Alice's head while she was doing homework. Alice couldn't hold back and yanked the bully's hair in retaliation. The child went home and twisted the story to their parents, as if Alice was the one at fault. Because of these incidents, Grandma began dropping off and picking up Alice to avoid a repeat. "Grandma, if only my dad were here." "Then they couldn't say I'm the child of some monster," Alice said, sadly in Grandma's lap. "Don't worry, I'll come to your school every day so those bullies won't bother you," Grandma promised. "Thank you, Grandma," Alice answered, eyes already closing. Time flew. In high school, the bullying hadn't stopped, but now it was catty gossip behind her back. To her face, they were sweet, but when she turned, The jealous ones whispered about her beauty and brains. One day, a group of girls in the cafeteria didn't realize Alice was right behind them. She's only like that because life is so hard for her. She's ridiculously ambitious, like she's even going to graduate. Sometimes I see she brings promissory notes because she can't pay tuition. One girl gossiped. Who knows what tricks she pulls to get those grades? She's a teacher's pet. Another sneered. They laughed, unaware Alice was eating alone behind them. She'd gotten hungry while studying in the library. Then there was a sudden thump on the table. You gossip girls! Why are you talking trash about someone who's done nothing to you? She's doing everything she can to climb out of hardship. At least she studies, unlike you, who spend your time prettying up and stabbing people in the back. A boy's voice cut in, familiar to Alice. He was a popular student in another section. Wow, you really defended her, Paul. Why, what is she to you? You two aren't even close. One nosy girl teased. You're right, we're not close, but starting today we are. I'll be the one to protect her from judgmental girls like you. Instead of pulling another woman down, why not help her rise? He said. The girls, embarrassed, slunk away. The boy, known simply as Paul, glanced at Alice, walked over, and handed her a handkerchief. She'd been quietly crying. Here, wipe your tears, he said. Paul, we're not close. Why did you defend me? Alice asked. Didn't you hear me? From now on, we're close, and I'll stand up for you, he answered, gently dabbing her eyes himself when she didn't reach for the handkerchief. There. You look okay again. Maybe put on a little powder in the restroom, he added, making her laugh at his goofy, charming way. But won't this hurt your chances in the student council election? Alice worried. If they don't want to vote for me because I did the right thing, then so be it, he said, making her smile. She hadn't expected the campus heartthrob to be the one to defend her. He sat, and they started talking, like he wanted to know her. She felt awkward at first, but slowly opened up. When she laughed, he said, Keep laughing like that. Let the bullies deal with their own issues. You're not the problem. You have a beautiful smile. Alice felt her heartbeat quicken. From then on, they became best friends. He walked her to class and escorted her home. They were inseparable, rumors be damned. For half a year they grew close, until one day he surprised her with a trip to an amusement park, something on her bucket list. Surprise, Paul said, holding her hand. Wow, it's beautiful here. I thought we were going somewhere else. You even blindfolded me. She laughed. I wanted to surprise you, he replied, though she sensed a shadow in his eyes, like something was wrong. They rode all the rides, even the extreme ones. At first, Alice laughed because Paul seemed more scared than she was. He was sweet throughout, especially when they got on the Ferris wheel. He held her hand. No matter what happens, I want you to remember you're always in my heart, and you'll never leave my thoughts. You'll always be the love of my life, he said. The words thrilled her and terrified her, like a goodbye. It was. After that day, Alice learned he had dropped out and left. They never spoke again. It was her first heartbreak. She'd lost a friend and the boy she loved. She channeled the pain into self-improvement, staying busy with school and extracurriculars. She soared at school. Trials toughen us, they say, and that's what happened to Alice. The once tearful child became strong and brave. She no longer hid and cried. Once, when a boy called her illegitimate, she socked him in the mouth. Try me again and see what happens, she told herself, steadying for the next class. After that, the taunts stopped. She doubled down on studies and became competitive in every activity, graduating high school as valedictorian. Because of her effort and drive, she won a great college scholarship at a well-known university. Thank God you got that scholarship, Grandma said, thrilled. Study hard, my dear. I know you can do this. I won't waste this chance, Grandma. Our future depends on it. I'll do my best, promise, Alice answered with a wink and a thumbs up, bringing tears to Grandma's eyes. 4 years later, Alice graduated summa cum laude in accounting and business management, the perfect package for her dreams in the corporate world. Grandma's joy overflowed as she watched Alice receive her diploma and honors. The audience applauded again and again as Alice delivered a speech full of inspiration, urging fellow graduates to chase every strand of their dreams. Our dreams don't end today. That's where they begin. Don't let fear defeat you. The fears that live in our hearts will push us straight to failure. I'm Alice. I grew up with nothing and no parents. I was raised by my elderly grandmother with health problems. Let my story encourage you. Keep reaching, she said, drawing thunderous applause. Grandma clapped through tears. Thank you, Lord, for guiding my granddaughter toward a bright future, Grandma whispered as students snapped photos, selfies, and group shots. In the chaos, she momentarily lost sight of Alice. Until... Grandma, I'm here! Alice cried, running back. She hung a medal around Grandma's neck. Alice, what's this for? Grandma asked. That's my summa cum laude medal. I'm giving it to you, because you're the real summa cum laude of my life, Alice said, making Grandma weep. Don't cry, Grandma. This is the start of our dreams coming true, Alice said, hugging her. Yes, my dear. We'll reach them together, Grandma replied. Alice's graduation speech went viral across social media. Millions watched. She was invited to podcasts and TV programs where she shared her journey from poverty to the pain of judgment and how she never knew her father because her late mother never told anyone. She was honest and unashamed, and young people took heart from her story. That viral speech reached the attention of Julian Carter, a wealthy CEO and certified bachelor in business circles. He saw a clip on TV and told his secretary to track down the speech online. He had no Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. He'd always considered social media a waste of time. But not now. He was suddenly invested in the young woman's story. Meticulous and exacting, he always had HR recruit the most qualified graduates. But this was different. Something told him to know Alice personally, soon. He didn't understand why, but he instructed HR to invite Alice and give a strong offer so she wouldn't go elsewhere. He wasn't disappointed. Alice eagerly accepted her first job offer. Grandma, I didn't even apply. There's already a job waiting for me, she exclaimed when the offer letter arrived from Julian Carter's company. Grandma could hardly contain her joy at the blessings pouring in. The night before her first day, Alice carefully ironed her outfit and went to bed early. She'd need to take 2 city buses to reach the office. Grandma, wake me early, okay? I don't want to be late. Please pray for me. I'm nervous and excited, she said, as Grandma straightened the sheets. Of course, I pray for you every day. Come on, let's sleep, Grandma replied. Morning came and Alice set out, transferring between buses, and in about 30 minutes she stood before the building. She took in the busy flow of people and the rows of cars in the parking lot, likely employees' vehicles. Someday I'll have a car, she thought as she made her way to the entrance. She headed for the elevator, but a security guard stopped her. Ma'am, the owner is behind you, he whispered, darting his eyes toward a well-dressed man with 2 women, likely his assistants, and 2 bodyguards. Alice glanced back and saw the CEO standing silently. She stepped aside and intended to greet him, but her nerves got the better of her when she noticed his reaction. He stared at her, unsmiling, eyes widening as if in shock. She lowered her gaze, thinking she'd somehow irritated him. She breathed easier when the elevator doors opened and Mr. Carter entered with his staff and guards. A bodyguard reached to press close, but the CEO's voice stopped him. "Wait. Don't close it." Alice looked up and saw him beckon. "Come on, ride with us," he said simply. Embarrassment flushed through her, but she swallowed it. The minutes were ticking, and she didn't want to be late on her first day. She slipped in and stood near the front. She noticed the guard scratching his head, startled, as if this broke some unspoken rule. Later, she'd learn it did. As the elevator rose, Alice felt the CEO's eyes on her. She avoided the mirrored wall to keep their eyes from meeting. She sighed in relief when the doors opened on the 8th floor, her stop. She thanked them and slipped out. As far as she knew, his office was on the 10th, where her final orientation would be held later. Inside the elevator, Julian Carter looked down after she exited, sadness crossing his face. His secretary and bodyguard exchanged glances. They'd been with him long enough to read his moods. He headed straight to his office and shut the door. Firm enough that the click echoed, he locked it. He couldn't settle after losing sight of Alice. Her face, her gestures, they dredged up a memory. A woman he once knew, or rather, didn't know, whose face he had never forgotten from his youth. He wanted to call Alice in immediately, but held back, worried it would be misinterpreted. He could do whatever he wanted, he owned the company, but fear kept him from opening the past, a memory that, to him, was a grievous wrong done to a woman. "Why am I thinking about this again?" "She looks exactly like the woman I spent the night with," he muttered, pressing his forehead against his desk. Thoughts tumbled but remained uncertain. He forced himself to function. No missteps. He'd made enough back then. No one could know. He hoped his friends had forgotten the incident long ago. He dabbed sweat from his brow, then called his secretary. "Have HR send me the portfolios of the new hires. Tell them I'll see them in the conference room in an hour." Within 30 minutes, HR delivered. He flipped through files, scanning resumes and glancing at photos, until Alice's portfolio stopped him cold. He scrutinized her picture, then every detail of her resume, then the photo again. The face, the nose, the eyes, the brows, even the hair, he whispered, sighing as he stared into space. He dropped the folder on the desk and tried to convince himself she had nothing to do with his long-ago sin. The night his friends had spiked his drink at a bar. He hadn't meant to do it. He'd been goaded, and he lost control. He told himself he wasn't fully to blame, yet the guilt had never truly left. The woman had been innocent. Where was she now? Who was she? Why did her memory torment him? He remembered an old flip phone he'd kept. He called his mansion and ordered someone to bring it to his office immediately. Fear churned with anticipation. The woman's face haunted his waking hours and his sleep. His conscience was collecting its dues. What if the woman and Alice looked alike and what if a child had been born? But who was the woman and where was she? He called the house again to hurry the errand. About 30 minutes later, the phone arrived. He placed it on the desk, breathing deeply to calm his racing heart, then plugged it into charge. He stared at it, glancing at the clock. He also remembered he was due to meet the new hires for orientation, including Alice. He took a drink of water, steadied himself, and went to the conference room. He immediately sought Alice with his eyes and found her sitting quietly. He took a seat at the far end and conducted the session himself. Unusual, HR normally handled it, but he wanted to see someone in particular, to speak to her, to know. HR staff were surprised. They'd never seen him personally address new hires. After 2 hours, he called them in, one by one, for short one-on-ones. Alice was last. She felt a flutter of nerves. This was the famously strict and meticulous owner, but she took a breath. She could do the job even without corporate experience. She was willing to learn. The secretary ushered her in and had her sit before the large desk. The secretary noticed that Mr. Carter wasn't in his usual seat. He was by the window, looking out. "Sir, Miss Alice is here," Julie said politely. His face looked sad. Unusual for him. He was quiet, but his eyes were usually lively in conversation. He was kind, despite being reserved, careful with words. "I'll be right out, Julie," he said, after a heavy sigh. Julie stepped back to tell Alice to wait a moment. Soon, he emerged from the side room and took his seat. Alice stood and greeted him. Their eyes met, and she looked away. She couldn't name the feeling that washed over her. For the first time in her life, she felt the presence of a father, yet she had no idea why. "Sit down and don't be nervous. No one gets eaten in this office," he said, deadpan, and she didn't know if it was a joke. He wasn't smiling. Her knees wanted to shake. Her heart thudded faster under his gaze. He, too, was tongue-tied. Looking at Alice sent his mind spiraling back to that night, more than 20 years ago. He didn't ask about the job yet. Instead, he powered on the old phone. Alice nodded and waited patiently. She watched him swipe through the screen, up and down, left and right, and then stop, gripping the phone tightly as he looked back and forth between the screen and her. Finally, he asked about her family, her mother, where they were from, what they did. Alice answered plainly, "Sir, I was raised by my grandmother. I never knew my parents. My mother died giving birth to me. My grandmother sews and does laundry. I don't know my father. Grandma said he never took responsibility when Mom got pregnant." "That's all I wanted to know, Miss Alice. You can start your work now. Welcome to the company," he said abruptly. Alice was puzzled. Others said he grilled new hires with tough practical questions, but his were personal, and then he sent her off. She wanted to ask about her role, but held back. He seemed to retreat into silence. She excused herself and left. He remained seated, staring into nothing. A strange joy flickered in his chest, one he tried to quash as mere loneliness from having no family. Still, a thought gnawed. If the woman from long ago had become pregnant, the child would be about Alice's age. He reopened Alice's portfolio and checked her birth date, counting days from that night, assuming conception within a window, calculating a due date. He ran the numbers repeatedly. The dates lined up alarmingly close. He called a doctor friend for help with the math. "Julian, what is this? Got something to tell me?" the doctor joked. "Nothing, buddy." "It's for a project," Julian lied. "All right, I'll send you the formulas and visuals," the doctor replied. "Thanks, you're the best," Julian said, hanging up. At lunch, the new hires gathered in the cafeteria. Before eating, Alice stopped by the security desk. She learned that it was customary for the CEO to ride the elevator first and alone, with only his close assistant, no one else. "That's why I panicked earlier." "I'm sorry, ma'am," the guard apologized. "No worries, I didn't know either," Alice smiled. At the table, her group chatted quietly about their interviews. "Your turn, Alice." "You were in there the longest. You must have been grilled," one said. "Yeah, we were about to fall asleep waiting," another joked. Alice smiled and fibbed. I was nervous too. Felt like before I could finish one answer, the next question came. It was easier than explaining whatever strange thing had happened. After lunch, Alice took her post as an admin assistant. She'd be the first face visitors saw, handling inquiries. Her people skills, honed from life, were immediately useful. She was about to stand to head to the restroom when a man approached her desk. She sat back down. "Hi, miss. Good morning. I'd like to set an appointment with the owner, Mr. Julian Carter," he said. He was articulate, confident, and he smelled really good. Alice stared a second too long. He was handsome in a way that made her cheeks warm. He also felt oddly familiar. "Sir, Mr. Carter's office is on the 10th floor. His secretary is there. We handle logistics here," Alice said, pointing toward the elevator. "Thanks, I'm Paul, by the way," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Alice." "I'm new here, my first day," she replied. "Great. I have a meeting. Hope to see you again." Paul smiled. "Yes, mister." "Paul, I'm always here. You'll see me first," she grinned. He left but glanced back once before stepping into the elevator. Alice secretly swooned and even sniffed the hand he had shaken. The scent lingered in the air and on her palm. That cologne must be expensive, she thought, but why does he feel familiar? A little later, Paul returned to say his meeting with Mr. Carter was set for next week. "Thanks, Alice." "See you next week," he said, eyes lingering. Alice blushed under his kind gaze. The perfect teeth, the rosy lips. It all made the afternoon fly. Near 5 o'clock, Alice packed up with other new hires. As they exited the building, Mr. Carter was coming out. Everyone quieted as he asked, "So, how was your first day?" The friendliness surprised them. They had expected him to be forbidding. Even his close staff had noticed changes in him since morning, especially around Alice. People whispered. Maybe the bachelor boss had a crush. There was nothing wrong with that, they thought. "Heading home?" he asked. "Yes, sir," they chorused. "It might be better if you ride with us. I brought 2 cars." "We'll drop you off after a light dinner so you still get home early," he offered, instructing his close assistant, Thelma, to reserve seats and order at their usual restaurant. "So this is how the wealthy live," Alice mused. "They order ahead so there's no waiting." "Okay, let's go," Mr. Carter said, personally inviting Alice to ride in his car. She agreed, cheeks burning. Some onlookers gossiped, heads filling with assumptions as she slid into the boss's car. She sat quietly. She could feel Mr. Carter watching her in the rearview mirror, and she silently prayed they'd arrive quickly. They did. The restaurant wasn't far. The food was ready, and he invited them to eat. Shyness gave way to gratitude as their plates filled. One by one, they were driven home. Mr. Carter stayed behind to give instructions to a staff member at the restaurant, and Alice reached home safely, thankful for the treat. "Grandma, work is nerve-wracking and fun. I met lots of new people, and the owner is strict but kind. And Grandma, I met someone new. He's so handsome, like Chris Evans," Alice chattered. Grandma's brow furrowed, but she let her talk, until she couldn't help herself. "You keep mentioning that handsome new acquaintance. Is your heart starting to flutter? Be careful with men. Get to know them well before you let that heart of yours jump," Grandma warned, tapping Alice's chest. "Grandma, you're overthinking. I just noticed he's handsome. That doesn't mean I like him. And I am of age, right?" Alice kissed Grandma's forehead and laughed. "Fine. Just don't forget my reminders," Grandma said, cupping her cheeks. "Promise, forever and ever," Alice replied, making Grandma smile. Days flowed into months. 6 months into her job, Paul made his feelings clear. But since it was Alice's first real experience with courtship, she let time pass and savored being wooed. "One day, Mr. Carter called Alice in. She was being transferred to another department, finance, with a small raise. She happily accepted. Soon a year had passed. "Girl, let's celebrate. We're a year in," said her friend Florence, who'd joined the company around the same time. "I'm in," Alice replied, just as Paul arrived with flowers. Florence ducked out, grinning. Clearly Paul would be part of dinner. Minutes later, Florence called Alice from across the office. "Long hair, girl, flowers and dinner. I'm coming too. It was my idea, not Mr. Handsome's," she teased. "Have I ever left you out?" "Whether Paul's around or not." Alice laughed. Don't leave me. I have to look out for you. Violet might try something. She's obsessed with Paul even though he doesn't care. Florence whispered, not realizing Violet had just walked in. Hey, don't be like that. She's his ex. There are still feelings, maybe, Alice cautioned softly. Violet, now Alice's department head in finance, and Paul's ex of 7 years, glared. This is work time, not gossip hour. I'm warning you both. I won't tolerate people like you in my department. She snapped, silencing the room. Paul had told Alice their breakup had been mutual and peaceful. They'd both fallen out of love. But Violet's actions toward Alice told a different story. She bristled even at Alice's voice. She raised her voice at Alice for the smallest mistake, and had humiliated her in front of the CEO over a financial report. What happened to your summa cum laude brain if this is the garbage you submit? Violet sneered, hands on hips. Mr. Carter cut in immediately, reprimanding Violet for the insult. She started to retort, but he shushed her. Violet was the daughter of Mr. Carter's first cousin. She sometimes acted like she owned the place. I'm sorry, sir. I'll find the error, Alice said. It's all right, Alice. You still have time. Work from my office for now while you finalize the report. We'll do this together, Mr. Carter said gently, visibly moved by how often Violet attacked her. What, Uncle? Alice in your office? Are you serious? Violet burst in later. People say she's a gold digger. Mr. Carter remained calm. It's my decision. I own this company. My decision stands, he said, closing the door on further protest. Violet stormed out, teeth clenched. This isn't over. I'll drive you out of here, she hissed to herself. Over the year, Alice learned that life wasn't perfect. Some days sweet, some bitter, like a layered dessert that you must stir and savor to get the full taste. Paul colored her world, but she wasn't ready to let him all the way in. Violet's presence, the chaos, the fear of muddling her work and dreams, she held back. Still, in her heart, she loved Paul. She'd even introduced him to Grandma when he came to court her. He was her ideal. Hard-working despite being the only son of the owner of a company that supplied office materials to Mr. Carter's businesses. Paul didn't care about the gap between their lives. He accepted Alice for who she was and who she was becoming. Violet's hostility escalated. Sometimes Paul stepped in when he saw it, even taking on tasks Violet dumped on Alice. Alice didn't complain. Her determination only irked Violet more. We'll see how tough you are, Violet muttered, watching Alice assemble financial reports and recommendations for the upcoming annual departmental convention, work that should have been Violet's, not Alice's. For 2 weeks, Alice labored, studying every piece and building it exactly as Violet demanded. Well, Alice? How much longer? Violet taunted. 5 minutes, ma'am. I'll bring it to your office, Alice said, transferring files and printing materials. Hurry. I'm leaving for the convention. Violet smirked. Alice didn't know Violet had a hidden play in mind. Alice delivered both soft and hard copies, only for Violet to slam the thick report to the floor, papers scattering. I don't need that. I need you gone, from this company and away from Paul. He and I didn't get back together because you seduced him. And you're flirting with my uncle too. Violet spat, like a lion ready to pounce. Alice's vision darkened. Her whole body trembled with anger. She nearly slapped Violet, but remembered Grandma's counsel. She turned away, breathing slowly to control herself, and went to the restroom to cry in private. She studied her reflection, drew a long breath, and spoke to herself. You're doing this because of Paul. Fine. From now on, watch me. She walked back out as if nothing had happened, smiled at her co-workers' sympathetic looks, and sat down. She made a quiet call. Minutes later, Paul arrived with flowers. Alice stood to greet him and glanced at Violet's office. Violet was watching, eyes burning. Alice went ahead anyway, meeting Paul and planting a quick kiss on his cheek. "Alice, what does this mean?" he whispered, startled but pleased. "Nothing, just thanks for coming," she said, inhaling the roses. She knew Violet was a volcano ready to erupt. The loud clatter of Violet's expensive pen confirmed it. Days passed. Violet's fury worsened when she saw Alice step out of Paul's car, sometimes giving him a goodbye peck if Violet was nearby. "Girl, you're a champion!" "Are you two official?" Florence squealed. "Oh yes, my life is perfect," Alice said a bit loudly. Florence squinted. "I know you. What's the agenda?" "Honestly, we're not official yet." I turned on the sweetness because Violet had just gotten out of her car and saw us. "She drives me nuts. The meanness is too much," Alice admitted, a sly smile tugging her lips. "I get it. But admit it. You're in love. Be careful. Your rival is a woman in love," Florence warned. "So am I," Alice grinned, teasing. Truth was, Alice planned no games beyond a little acting. She was close to saying yes to Paul. He'd won her over, and she felt light with him. She just wanted the right timing. She needed to be sure she could balance love, work, and the dreams she shared with Grandma. At work, she triple-checked everything she sent to the auditors. Still, Violet tried something shameless. Alice was summoned to face the CEO and the auditor over errors. Violet seized the moment to rant that Alice had lost focus, that she was flirting instead of working, that she needed to be replaced. Before Violet finished, Alice opened protected files showing her exact original entries. Someone had tampered with the data to make it look like her mistake. The auditor confirmed Alice's originals were clean. "No wonder our cash flow has issues. Someone's interfering with the data." "Get it. Trace the source machine. Whoever did this will answer to me," Mr. Carter ordered. Silence fell. Violet stood, tense, hoping to speak, but he didn't give her the chance. "I'm sorry, Alice. I thought ill of you. Please forgive me," Mr. Carter said humbly, his hands trembling as he held Alice's. "Be angry if you want, but please accept my apology," he added, which only enraged Violet more. "Uncle, stop. Fire that woman. She's the problem. People say she's targeting you too," Violet shouted. "You shut up, Violet. You don't know what you're saying. We have problems because of your obsession, your drama that you try to pin on Alice. I know, Violet. I know everything," he snapped. Violet fled to her office, fuming. "Alice, you can go back to work. I'll sort this out. I'm sorry," Mr. Carter said. Alice didn't speak. Tears were already threatening. She left, barely seeing where she was going. In the hallway, she ran right into Paul, who caught her in a hug. Seeing her tears, he guided her to his car during lunch, handed her water, and asked what happened. Words tangled with tears. She told him about Violet's lies, that Violet had even said she was his fiancée, and they were close to marrying. Paul shook his head. "No, Alice. She's not my girlfriend. We broke up cleanly. I'm free to love who I choose, and I choose you. Please believe me," he said earnestly. Alice swallowed hard. "I've thought about this a long time, Paul. I love you. I'm used to seeing you. But can we fix the mess around us first?" Paul's face fell, then softened. He squeezed her hand. "That doesn't mean I should stop courting you." "I'm not rushing you. I'll wait," he said. Alice smiled, heart leaping. She thought maybe Violet would stop, but Violet only grew more physical, more violent. Alice tried to avoid her, but they collided again, this time at the company's anniversary party. "You gold digger, illegitimate, ambitious parasite. You'll latch onto any man for luxury. I know where you came from. Your mother got pregnant and you don't even know your father." Violet spat at the entrance, not caring who heard. Humiliated, Alice turned away. Violet yanked her long hair just as Mr. Carter arrived. Alice stayed calm, repeating that she and Paul had done nothing wrong, that Violet had no claim on him, that she hated drama and would never steal anyone. Violet lunged to slap her, but Paul grabbed Violet's wrist. Violet thrashed like a caged animal. Her hand slipped and still grazed Alice's cheek. Mr. Carter stepped between them and, in a shocking first, slapped Violet. Twice. Gasps rippled. He pointed a finger at her. "I've indulged your spoiled behavior too often. Not anymore. You will not abuse my daughter. My daughter. Remember that," he said, voice like steel. Alice went still. Daughter? She could hardly believe it. Could it be true? The father she had prayed for had found her? Her mind exploded with questions. "Alice, my child, we need to talk." "There's a lot to fix," Mr. Carter said gently, supporting her. "This party isn't only for the company anniversary. I prepared it to surprise you, to introduce you to the public." "I don't understand. How?" Alice whispered, bruised inside by Violet's storm and stunned by the revelation. "Forgive me, child. The moment I saw you on TV, I had a feeling. You look just like your mother. I arranged for you to join my company. You're her image, the face, everything. I had an old phone with her picture. Remember when we ate at the restaurant and I stayed behind? I had them collect everything you touched, even a strand of hair and a tissue from when you cried in my office. I used it for a DNA test. I wasn't wrong. We're a match. You're my daughter, Alice," he said, voice breaking. "Enough tears for now. From this moment, I'll make it up to you. No one will abuse you again." A surge of belonging rose in Alice. For so long she'd longed to feel a father's presence, even in dreams. Now it was real. She was not a mistake, not a creature of whispers. She had a father, alive and here. "Get dressed. The program starts soon," he said. "Actually, I'm crying because Grandma's here and must be worried sick," Alice said, pointing to where Grandma stood, searching. "My princess, I'll take care of her. I owe her thanks for raising you right. Freshen up and come back. The program is about to begin," he said, opening the car door and heading to Grandma. Minutes later, the music swelled and the MC called, "Mr. Julian Carter to the stage." In the middle of his remarks, the orchestra rose again. "I would like to introduce my only child and heir. Please welcome my Princess Alice," he announced. Grandma could hardly breathe. "Hold my hand tight, Grandma." "We're about to fly," Alice whispered, guiding her up the steps. "After this, explain everything to me," Grandma said. "We will, Dad and I," Alice promised, gripping her hand. On stage, Mr. Carter welcomed them. He told a short version of the story. Grandma slowly pieced it together. "Thank God you're whole now, my grandchild." "Your mother is happy in heaven. She guided you to your father," Grandma said through tears. "I can feel her watching," Alice answered, and the three embraced as applause swelled. "Ma'am, thank you for raising Alice so well." "I'll make it up to you, promise," Mr. Carter added, to another round of applause. Life kept turning. Alice advanced to chief officer of a department. Violet no longer worked there. But it wasn't luck. Alice had worked since childhood and deserved every blessing. With money and influence, she chose to help others, supporting charities and outreach, and even starting her own organization to serve needs she herself had known as a child. Paul never stopped showing his love. From the day their worlds were unequal to now, he loved her truly, accepting her past and present. "Hey, let's play!" a child called at the children's home. Alice and Paul were there on a volunteer day. Paul laughed, fingers intertwined with Alice's. "Go play, they're as lively as you," Alice teased. "They're as cute as you," he said, brushing her cheek. "I can't wait to have little ones as cute as them. Little Alice's and little Paul's." She swatted his arm. "What are you talking about?" When would that even happen? He fell quiet, thinking, then suddenly dropped to one knee in front of the kids and the nuns. "Hey, what are you doing?" Alice whispered. "Proposing, so we can get started on those cute kiddos," he grinned, pulling out a red velvet box with a diamond that sparkled like his eyes. "Stop, they're all staring." Alice hushed when a child yelled, "Say yes, Miss Alice." "You always tell us you love Mr. Paul." Alice laughed. "The cute kid says yes," she joked. She lifted Paul to his feet and hugged him. "Yes, I'll marry you, the man who accepted me completely. Even when our lives were worlds apart, even when I seemed to push you away, you never stopped. You proved your love, and now it's my turn to answer. Yes, I will marry you." Paul whooped, "Yes!" The kids cheered and clapped. He wanted to kiss her, but surrounded by children and sisters, he leaned in and whispered, "Later, when we get home." Of preparation later, they wed in a small church filled to bursting with love. During the vows, Paul shared how they'd first met. "My love, Alice, I'm so happy we're here. When we first met, we were just kids, high schoolers. I saw your classmates bully you because they said you had no family. I defended you, and we became friends. We spent weeks always together. Then I had to leave the country to study. I never forgot you. When I saw you again, I swore never to let you go. From then to now, you're the one my heart beats for. That won't change, not even when our hair turns white," he said. Yes, he was the same boy who had defended her long ago. No wonder he'd felt familiar the first day at the office. Now she was marrying him. After Alice promised to be loyal, faithful, and loving, the priest declared them husband and wife. They sealed it with a sweet kiss. Grandma Matilda, Mr. Carter, and Paul's family beamed with joy. And so ends the life story of Alice and Paul, together with their families. Thank you for listening. It's your tale master, Mr. Hope. Make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories.